Welcome back to The Explainer. So tonight we're diving straight into the chilling anatomy of a supernatural ambush, one that was hidden deep within the dark, totally unforgiving woods of northern Oregon. We aren't just telling a spooky campfire ghost story here. We are actually looking at the precise step-by-step mechanics of how something unnatural hunts its prey.
To really wrap your head around how this trap works, you need to put yourself right in the shoes of four friends: Jake, Emma, Sarah, and Mike. Picture this. They are driving way past midnight, over an hour from the nearest outpost of civilization after a weekend camping trip. The forest outside their windows is just endless. The dead silence of the remote wilderness is all-encompassing. Until suddenly, that silence is violently broken.
Bam! A massive blowout on the front tire jerks their car to a sudden, dead halt. They are completely, totally stranded in the middle of nowhere. And as they step out of the vehicle, they realize something incredibly unsettling. There's this oppressive void all around them. I mean, no wind rustling the trees, no nocturnal animals scurrying about, not even the sound of bugs, just absolute freezing darkness.
Okay, looking at the anatomy of this ambush, it's a clear process. Isolate the prey, offer a false sanctuary, and draw them inside. This flat tire wasn't just a stroke of bad luck. As we deconstruct the events of this night, you're going to see exactly how this blowout was the calculated first step of a supernatural trap. Step 1, isolate the prey by completely disabling their only means of escape.
Now, step 2 is all about the psychology of the lure. Jake pops the trunk and no spare tire. Surrounded by pitch-black darkness, with the temperature rapidly dropping, panic naturally begins to set in. But then, Sarah points into the trees. Far off in the distance, a faint, flickering yellow light cuts through the dense forest. A house. In other words, a false sanctuary.
Notice how the mundane, everyday danger of just getting stranded suddenly shifts into escalating terror. After an agonizing 20-minute hike into the freezing woods, they arrive. But not at some cozy, welcoming cabin. No, they find an ancient house built out of black, rotting wood. Every single window is dead dark, except for one, which is glowing with a dim yellow lamp. The trap is officially set.
Step 3, the escalation, begins when the house seemingly invites them inside. Jake knocks, gets zero answer, and then the front door slowly creaks open entirely on its own. Track how insanely fast this escalates. At 12:45 a.m., they step inside. By 12:47, they realize the house is practically suffocating in dust, reeking of mold and wet wood, yet that one yellow lamp is inexplicably turned on. And just a minute later, at 12:48 a.m., a slow, heavy thump echoes from the floorboards right above them.
Jake slowly shines his flashlight up the staircase. The heavy, slow footsteps suddenly stop. There are a few seconds of agonizing, dead silence. And then a soft, barely audible plea just drifts down the dust-covered staircase. "Help me."
So here is the crucial point, and it's something to ask yourself. Would you run, or would you follow it? We are looking at the ultimate psychological trap here. The entity is brilliantly weaponizing their human empathy right against their base survival instincts. Someone is calling for help in a rotting house in the middle of nowhere. Against every single shred of their better judgment, the group actually climbs the stairs and approaches a closed door at the end of the hall.
Jake turns the knob, pushes the door open, and shines his light inside, but the room is completely stripped of life. I mean, no furniture, no windows, literally nothing but pure darkness. And then, with a deafening bang, the door slams shut behind them. The temperature instantly plummets to freezing. Jake yanks on the handle, but it won't budge. The trap has just snapped shut.
Jake's flashlight starts to flicker wildly in the freezing air. As the beam frantically dances across the room, the group notices massive black letters written directly onto the wall. A chilling, mocking message to its now captive prey. You should have stayed in the car.
Right in the middle of the chaos, Mike points a trembling finger toward the corner of the room. Standing completely motionless in the shadows is a figure. It has to be at least 7 feet tall. It has these unnaturally long arms hanging down by its sides, and its face is entirely obscured in the darkness. None of them saw it enter. It was just suddenly there.
The massive figure slowly tilts its head. From the darkness of its face, a mouth stretches into this terrifying, unnatural smile. A smile far, far too wide for any human bone structure to actually support. Sarah screams, and in that exact second,
The lights completely die. The room is swallowed by total, suffocating darkness. This right here is where the entity drops all pretense. It's an all-out ambush. Rapid footsteps start moving all around them in the pitch black. It is incredibly fast, just circling them. Emma starts crying, begging for it to stop, and the unseen horror literally mocks her cries with this deep, distorted laugh. Then, just as inexplicably as it locked, the door behind them clicks open.
Jake throws the door open and screams at everyone to run. They sprint down the stairs, but the house is literally mutating around them. The hallways seem impossibly longer. Suddenly there are more doors, stretching shadows. It's as if the very architecture of the building itself is shifting just to keep them trapped inside. Faster. Heavy footsteps are thundering right behind them, getting closer and closer. They violently burst through the front door and tear back into the pitch-black forest. Low branches are mercilessly scratching at their faces, invisible tree roots are tripping up their feet, but absolute raw terror just keeps pushing them forward. For 30 breathless, agonizing minutes, they run completely blind through the woods, obeying just one single unspoken rule. Whatever you do, don't look back. Finally, headlights reflect in the dark. Their car. They practically throw themselves inside and slam the locks down. Jake turns the key and, miraculously, with a collective gasp of relief, the engine roars to life on the very first try. But right as they are about to speed off, the ultimate reality-bending twist reveals itself. Emma finally dares to look back into the woods. The house is gone. The glowing yellow light is completely gone. There is absolutely nothing back there but ordinary trees. It's as if the entire nightmare had just been erased from reality itself. Let's look at the aftermath, which somehow only deepens the impossibility of what they survived. Years later, completely obsessed with the event, Jake actually returns to that exact area of the forest, armed with local maps and property records. And guess what he discovers? There were never any roads there. There were never any buildings. Zero historical record that a house had ever existed in that part of the forest. But the absolute most horrifying detail of this entire explainer is what Jake discovered when they finally arrived home safely that very night. Stepping out of the driver's seat in his driveway, he went to inspect the front wheel that had supposedly stranded them in the first place. The tire wasn't punctured. It wasn't damaged at all. It was perfectly inflated. Actually, instead of a blowout, what he found was smeared across the side of the vehicle in thick forest mud. 4 words, left by whatever had chased them out of those woods. Thank you for coming inside.
Which brings us to the most disturbing realization of all. The blowout, the house, the light, literally none of it was real. So if the entire trap was fabricated just to lure them into a state of absolute concentrated terror, what was that entity truly feeding on? It's definitely something to ponder the next time you find yourself stranded, all alone, in the dark. Thanks for exploring this one with me today.